Mambo ni matatu.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. I have always opined on this platform on many occasions that in politics nothing happens out of mere coincidence, and that everything in politics is normally well planned, well scripted and executed to achieve a specific political objective, and that nothing in politics just happen for the sake of it. Last week, members of parliament from Mount Kenya region, Kiambu County to be in particular, addressed the media. And in their address to the media, they called for Kiambu County to be separated from Mount Kenya. They demanded that Kiambu County should be considered a separate region.
Watu wa Kiambu County tuko na kura nyingi sana. Tuko na 1.4 million votes. Hiyo ni kama kushikanisha Nyeri County, Murang'a County, Kirinyaga County na Laikipia County zote pamoja. Na hatutaki serikali kiongozwa na rais wetu William Ruto akuwe akisema akienda Mount Kenya ameenda Kiambu. Kiambu County tumesimama kama region. Tunataka maendeleo yetu, mipangilio yetu, maminista wetu, ma-PS wetu, pesa yetu, lakini siwekwe pamoja na pesa ya huku kwingine. Wao wapewe pesa yao, kwa sababu sisi uongozi wetu haupitangi mto wa Chania.
Imekuwa cosmopolitan, imekuwa kama Nairobi, na imekuwa na watu wengi wanakuja kukaa hapa na wengine wanakuja kununua. Kiangalia mahali kama Roiro tuna ward 8. Hizo ni kaunti 5 za mahali kwingine. Hata Kiambu yenyewe ni kama kaunti, Kiambu ikiwa yote mzima ni kama kaunti zingine karibu 6. Hata kura zetu hakuna kaunti nyingine after Nairobi iko na kura kama zile ziko Kiambu. Kwa hivyo serikali inapopewa kura na watu wa Kiambu inafaa pia kuangalia na jicho lingine ambalo ni zaidi ya wale wengine, kwa sababu hata kura zetu ni mingi.
Lina idadi kubwa ya watoto wanaoenda shule, lina idadi kubwa wa shule za kimataifa, lina idadi kubwa ya watu wengi wa biashara nyingi na nyumba ambazo watu wanaofanya kazi Nairobi wanaishi hapa katika jimbo.
The question is, who is behind the push for Kiambu County to be a separate region from Mount Kenya? My answer to that question is none other than William Samoei Arap Ruto. Today, William Ruto met with over 6,000 leaders from Kiambu County. And Kimani Ichung'wah, who is a close ally of the president, had this to say. Pay very close attention.
Back in 2022, ulikuja pale Limuru Conference Center, Jumuiya Conference, and we had our economic charter for Kiambu County. Na tulikuwa watu 3,000. Leo tumekuja tukiwa wale 3,000 times 2, 6,000 leaders from Kiambu County. Na kwa sababu Your Excellency, wakati ule tulikuwa tunaenda kwa campaign ya uchaguzi wa 2022, kuna mambo ambayo tulikubaliana na wewe, Mungu akikujalia na kwa uwezo wa kura za watu wa Kiambu upate kazi ya rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Kuna mambo ambaye ungetufanyia kama nchi na ufanyie watu wa Kiambu. Na tunakushukuru kwa mwaliko wako, ili kwa midterm review ukuje utuambie mahali umefikisha ile kazi tulikupea, na tunaenda wapi, ni gani imefanyika, ni gani inafanywa saa hii, na ni gani umepangia. Kwa hivyo Your Excellency, this is your day. And therefore mine was just to do that and tell you, Your Excellency, we continue to support your government and the people of Kiambu. Hawa unaona hapa are just a small representation of the greater Kiambu. Your Excellency, vile wabunge ambao unafanya kazi na wao walikuambia juzi, we have been christened the people of Mount Kenya. Lakini hawa watu wa Kiambu ile milima wanaona ni Gong Hills na Kilimambogo. Na wamesema wao, they are a region by themselves. Kiambu ni region mzima ikiwa peke yake. Kanatiguo. Tono tukanie kaunti 6 na citingikinyira andu aria me thiini wa Kiambu. Na kwa hivyo Your Excellency, tukija kwa wingi ni sababu tuko wengi, na kura pia tulikopea kwa wingi 2022.
In this video, I want us to understand why I strongly believe William Ruto is pushing for Kiambu County to be considered a separate region. Before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. Immediately after the last election, William Ruto focused his attention in Nyanza. And his strategy was simple. William Ruto wanted to split Nyanza into two. South Nyanza and Central Nyanza, where South Nyanza meant Homa Bay and Migori, and Central meant Kisumu and Siaya. He tried so hard to separate Nyanza into two. That's exactly what he's trying to do in the mountain. And I want to appeal to the people of the mountain that if there's one thing they should try to avoid and stop at all cost, is the temptation to separate Kiambu County from the larger Mount Kenya region. Nyanza refused that. In fact, during that period, before the broad-based government, William Ruto and his team even tried to separate Korea and Suba from Nyanza because there was a bit of resistance based on the way Nyanza region is set up. For example, let me use the name Kidero. Kidero comes from Game in Homa Bay. But most of you know that Game is in Siaya. So these are people who just moved from Game in Siaya to Homa Bay. How do you separate them? Uchila Yako comes from Sakwa in Migori. So the history is that those Sakwa people came from Bondo. So it's very difficult to separate them. For those who remember, when Obama came, there was some Kogelo somewhere in Homa Bay and Kogelo in Alego. So it was very difficult for them to split them. And that's how that mission aborted. In fact, I remember they even tried at some point to install some Suba elders and created parallel Luo Council of Elders. So the people of the mountain must reject the attempt to split them. Because if that were to happen, then they'll regret in future. And rather they decide to split themselves, but not because of the politics of 2027. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to explain to you guys why this push to split Kiambu. And I want to ask you guys to just give me a few seconds or a few minutes to explain. Number one, William Ruto has failed to penetrate Mount Kenya because Gachagua has successfully managed to stamp his authority and thwart any attempt by the president to make inroads. So what is the president trying to do? He wants to create regional leaders. Mount Kenya East, he has his people there, led by Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki, because that was the initial idea, split Mount Kenya East from West. Now, he's trying to create a regional leader from Kiambu. And that's why there's this push. Because politics is a game of numbers. Kiambu has the numbers. Number two, it is clearly a divide and rule tactics. If you look at the strategy, Kiambu has the highest number of votes. In fact, that member of parliament was very clear that the votes of Kiambu alone is more than the votes from Nyeri, Kirinyaga, and more than Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Nyandarua. Those three counties. I think, and even Tharaka Nithi. But when it comes to sharing of resources in terms of positions, they will always spread them. Like you take the last election, Rigathi from Nyeri, deputy president. Kindiki from Tharaka Nithi, cabinet secretary. Moses Kuria, Kiambu. You look at the numbers, Kiambu had only one, shared with the rest almost on equal terms. And that's why They want to create that narrative. And it's something which is easy to sell. They simply need to go and tell the people of Kiambu that there is no way 1 million votes will equate to, let's say, 300,000 votes from Nyeri. Nyeri is not, is it 300? Yeah, around that number. So it's about the divide and rule. And number 3, which I think is the main intention, is to try and isolate, in quotes, Rigathi Gachagua's strongholds. That Rigathi Gachagua is very strong in Nyeri, Kirinyaga, is also strong in maybe in Embu there. That Kiambu is a bit different because they argue that even Raila Odinga got votes in Kiambu. And if William Ruto were to put more effort with the support of these leaders, which Raila Odinga did not have probably, they may get substantial number of votes. So the truth is, the intention really is to try and split or isolate Rigathi. I don't know whether it can work because so far, Rigathi has managed to appeal to the emotions of the people of the mountain. And you can even clearly tell from this platform that if you are to even say, like I said in one of my videos, that if I were to offer my unsolicited, and I was very clear, unsolicited advice to Rigathi, then I would advise him to reduce interviews now. Because my take or my thought were that these interviews now for Rigathi Gachagua might not be the best strategy. If I were to get Rigathi Gachagua one-on-one, that's what I'd advise him. Because these media guys, now they know Rigathi. They now understand the kind of questions to ask, the kind of response to expect from him. And that's why someone like Okwara was yesterday able to put him in a very tight corner. But because he has managed to appeal to their emotions, there's nothing you can tell them against Rigathi. So it means isolating Rigathi in Mount Kenya and trying to confine him to say Nyeri and Kirinyaga will not work. So, but that's the strategy. Number 4, and this is something which they haven't tried it in Nyanza. Try to create confusion in Mount Kenya. We have Mount Kenya East trying to fight for their space. We have Kirinyaga, Nyeri, maybe trying to fight their own worth there. Then you now come with Kiambu. So the question is who or which county will go with Rigathi. So they'll be asking themselves those questions. And that's why I still insist that the best the people of the mountain can do is to thwart any attempt to isolate Kiambu from the rest of the mountain. Because if that were to happen, even their power of negotiations will come down. And lastly, it is part and parcel of a strategy to try and slow down Rigathi Gachagua's rising popularity. As fate would have it, Rigathi Gachagua was impeached. He became more popular than he was before the impeachment. And he has successfully managed to stamp his authority in the mountain. In my view, Rigathi Gachagua was now planning to start venturing outside Mount Kenya. Then you come up with this issue of Mount Kenya East, Kiambu, the Mount Kenya in diaspora. You try to split them like that. What is going to happen is that Rigathi Gachagua is now going to spend more of his time in Mount Kenya trying to re-campaign that move. And that's how they'll successfully manage to deflate his influence outside the mountain and confine it to the mountain. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you think. Do you think the strategy of trying to split or separate Kiambu from Mount Kenya can succeed? Let me read your honest answer to that question below. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.